Greetings, Waffle Crew. I hope you're all doing fantastic. I'm Mark, and today we're diving into another batch of relationship tales from Reddit. If you enjoy these stories, consider giving a thumbs up, subscribing, or even tapping that notification bell. Let's jump right into the first story of the day. Before we start, a heads up. This story includes a physical altercation involving the original poster, OP, who is pregnant, and her mother-in-law. I want to reassure you that the baby is unharmed in the story. If this topic is sensitive for you, feel free to skip it. Timestamps are provided in the description and along the progress bar below. Thank you. The story is titled, "My Mother-in-Law Believes I Was Unfaithful to My Husband Because We're Expecting a Girl and Attacked Me at 8 months pregnant." It's a lengthy one, so buckle up. The OP is a 26-year-old woman, her husband is 30, and her mother-in-law is 70. The mother-in-law and father-in-law had their son later in life as their final attempt to have a child. The husband's name, something like James Robert Thompson, is a family tradition passed down for generations. Notably, no girls have been born on his side of the family for over a century, and there's a long-standing joke that the men in his family only produce boys. Fast forward to their 2017 wedding, where OP had a decent relationship with her mother-in-law until that point. The wedding was wonderful, lovely ceremony, heartfelt speeches, everything perfect. But as the night wound down and OP and her husband were preparing to head to their honeymoon suite, the mother-in-law looked OP in the eyes and said, "Now go give us another James Robert Thompson, with an extra Roman numeral." OP laughed it off nervously, and they left. During their honeymoon, OP conceived, and to everyone's shock, they learned they were having a girl. The family was stunned when the couple announced the gender, with many refusing to believe it until the baby was born. That's when the hurtful remarks began. Whenever the husband wasn't around, the mother-in-law and her relatives made snide comments like, "Where did she get those eyes?" Or, "That's definitely not your husband's kid." For the record, OP's daughter, as adorable as she is, clearly resembles her husband, and her features have only grown more like his over her first year and beyond. Now, OP and her husband are expecting their second child, another girl. OP pleaded with her husband not to share the gender with his mother, wanting to enjoy this pregnancy without her interference. OP had kept the cruel comments about their first daughter to herself, considering the mother-in-law's poor health and advanced age. She didn't want to strain her husband's relationship with his mother, who might not have many years left. To clarify, the mother-in-law isn't terminally ill, but has lifelong health issues. She smokes heavily, eats poorly, drinks only diet soda, and avoids exercise. Once, when OP offered her water after she nearly fainted from a short walk, she recoiled, saying, "Water's gross, it makes me sick, get me my diet soda." Despite OP's wishes, her husband insisted on revealing the gender during their next visit. When the mother-in-law heard it was another girl, she broke down, tears streaming as she shook her head and sobbed. Then she exploded, yelling at OP, calling her a cheater and demanding she leave the house. The husband jumped up, shouting at his mother to apologize and watch her language, especially with their daughter present. Through her sobs, the mother-in-law wailed, "Not ours! Not ours! Those girls aren't ours! She's a liar!" OP, now in tears, scooped up her confused daughter, who didn't understand why her dad was yelling at her grandma or why her mom was crying. The mother-in-law escalated, screaming at OP, "I let you fool us once. I welcomed you into this family. Let my son believe that child was his, but I won't allow it again." The husband, now furious, has a deep love for his daughter. Though he'd always expected a son, he was floored by how much he adored his little girl, often saying he never knew love could be so profound until he held her. OP is certain that, if forced to choose, he'd save their daughter over her or his mother every time. Enraged, he shouted at his mother for insulting his child, declaring they were leaving and she'd never see them again unless she came to her senses. As she tried to speak, he cut her off, yelling, "By the way, Mom, I love that little girl more than I ever loved you," as he ushered his family out the door. On the 2-hour drive home, OP broke down and shared all the hurtful comments the mother-in-law and her relatives had made behind his back. He was livid and comforted OP wonderfully. They went no contact, blocking the mother-in-law and father-in-law's numbers. For months, they heard nothing except through relatives on social media, whom they either warned not to relay messages or ignored. As OP neared her due date, they decided to extend an olive branch, offering the in-laws a chance to make amends. The mother-in-law whined about missing her son and granddaughter, so they agreed to a dinner at her house, leaving their daughter with OP's sister. At the dinner, small talk was strained until the husband addressed the elephant in the room. "Mom, we need to discuss what you said last time. You owe my wife an apology." The mother-in-law responded, "You have the proof, don't you?" Confused, he asked, "What?" She clarified, "The paternity test. I'm not apologizing until I'm proven wrong, and we both know I'm right. You can't have fathered 2 girls. It's absurd." The husband snapped, "What's wrong with you?" OP, crying, got up to leave. The mother-in-law lunged, grabbing OP's shirt and screaming, "You're not escaping this! You're a cheater! Admit it!" The husband yelled for her to let go and move toward them. In a frenzy, the mother-in-law slapped OP hard across the face. Shocked, OP pushed her arm away as the husband stepped between them, shouting. The father-in-law, ignoring the chaos, tried to calm his wife, saying they could work this out. Furious, the husband grabbed OP's hand to leave when the mother-in-law hurled a snow globe, striking OP in the back of the head. It didn't break, but cut her scalp. As OP fell to her knees, clutching her head and belly, the mother-in-law threw more objects. Nearly 9 months pregnant, OP was terrified as the mother-in-law tried to kick her. Her poor health slowed her down, and the husband pushed her back, causing her to stumble into a shelf. He rushed OP out, and she sobbed, fearing for her baby, believing she'd been kicked in the stomach. At the hospital, OP received 6 stitches and was monitored for 4 days. The baby was unharmed, but the hospital insisted on filing a police report. They learned the mother-in-law broke 2 fingers and claimed a neck injury from the fall, accusing OP and her husband of attacking her after being denied a free dinner. The police took both sides' statements, and after the father-in-law admitted the truth, the mother-in-law was arrested for assault. He later begged them to drop the charges, calling it a misunderstanding and claiming they were cruel to jail an elderly woman. Due to the hospital's documentation, dropping the charges wasn't an option. Now at home, awaiting their second daughter, OP is on strict bed rest, and her husband took time off to care for her and their toddler. OP suggested getting paternity tests for both girls to send to the mother-in-law in jail as a bold statement. He loved the idea and suggested sending copies to relatives who supported his mother's accusations, along with a letter cutting them off. They're relieved their daughter wasn't at the dinner and are cautious about induction, as their first was overdue. OP's edit. Wow, I didn't expect this much attention. Thank you for the support and kind words. I've read most comments, though they're capped now. To those whose families celebrated a girl after generations of boys, I'm thrilled for you. It shows most families are loving, unlike mine. We're pursuing a restraining order and no contact order, and our lawyer suggested court-ordered paternity tests for authenticity. My husband is amazing but struggling with his mother's potential jail time. I feel guilty, wondering if a test for our first daughter could have prevented this, but he insists I'm not to blame. We're waiting for the baby, court dates, and hospital bills. My husband's out getting breakfast and snacks for me, and I'm so grateful for him and our family. I'll update in a few weeks. Update, 15 days later. My original post was removed by moderators after it was shared on YouTube. I don't mind it being shared, as I've kept identifying details private, but I didn't delete it, despite some accusations. To recap, my husband's family hadn't had a girl in generations, so his mother accused me of cheating and assaulted me while I was nearly 9 months pregnant. My husband protected me, accidentally injuring his mother. The baby was fine, and I was monitored for days. The mother-in-law tried to harm me, but the baby was protected, like an egg in a water balloon, though it was terrifying. At home, my husband was supportive, and we planned court-ordered paternity tests to prove the girls are his, but he grew depressed, suggesting we downplay his mother's actions due to her age. I insisted her mental health be evaluated in court, but I don't want her near our kids. Then I discovered he'd been secretly talking to his parents. We fought when he suggested letting his mother meet our newborn before resuming legal action, claiming the no-contact order didn't apply to him yet. I was furious. She attacked me and could have harmed our baby. He argued she didn't mean to hurt the baby, only me. He left for his mother's house, leaving me heavily pregnant with our toddler. He returned for my induction, but during labor, as the baby crowned, he asked the nurse about a paternity test. I was mortified, screaming that it was his child and his mother was delusional. The doctor shut him down, but I felt judged by the staff, robbing me of a joyful moment. Delivery took longer due to my distress. Afterward, I refused to let him hold the baby, and when he tried to take photos for his mother, I knocked his phone away. My sister drove us home. At the baby's checkup, we did the paternity test. My husband barely engaged with our daughters, blaming me for tensions with his mother. He made hurtful comments to our toddler like, "Mommy's mad at grandma, so you can't come with me." Overwhelmed, I considered divorce. The paternity test confirmed he's the father. He apologized, claiming he never doubted me, but refused a test for our older daughter. I moved to my sister's with the girls, feeling no love for him. He's begging me to return, promising his mother will apologize, but I can't forgive him. I'm unsure if this warrants divorce, but need time to process. Update. Months later. My husband is withholding visits to our toddler and newborn unless I drop the divorce. 3 months ago, I served him papers after losing all love for him due to his mother's influence. She assaulted me, believing I cheated because we had girls. He initially supported me but sided with her, abandoning us post-birth and treating our toddler cruelly. The paternity test proved our newborn is his, but he refused one for our older daughter, acting overly sweet to prove his trust. His behavior toward our toddler, calling her names like brat and blaming me, changed her personality. She's anxious, apologizing constantly and having tantrums. He refuses to sign the papers, threatening I'll be a single mom if I proceed. His mother posts online, painting me as bitter for keeping the kids away, despite her assault. I'm at my sister's, determined to protect my girls. How do I ensure he doesn't harm them emotionally by popping in and out? Update, 22 months later. I'm divorced from my ex-husband, who sees our girls weekly. His family's obsession with boys led to accusations of infidelity, culminating in his mother's attack. I'm now engaged to a college friend who's known my girls forever. We're expecting a boy, and I'm 16 weeks pregnant. I haven't told my ex, but I know he'll ask the gender. I'm nervous about his reaction and need advice on handling this.